So, dear students, I am sharing a PPT which visible. Please tell me.
Yes, sir.
Is it visible now?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Yes, sir, it's
Yes, sir.
visible.
Okay.
Visible.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you very much. Okay. So let us, the students, today we'll talk about your societal context of education on the basis of social context of school, right?
Yes, sir.
So, dear students, you know very well that for understanding the education system, or you may say the understanding the education scenario for a proper management, administration of the school and institution, a teacher must have the knowledge about school, the structure of school, the functions of school, the activities that is prevailing in school, right? So you know very well that everybody have a context about school as a social system. You know, school may be described as a system of position and roles, and as a system is an entity of consisting of certain parts which is interrelated and interdependent. Fine. So we can say that school as a system would consist of patterned relationship between its various positions. You know that in your school, so much assistant teacher, headmaster, isn't it? Having part of a whole relationship, and you know the structure of a school is the formal arrangement of its parts. That is formal arrangement of the positions. So therefore, there are social positions of students and the members of uh, teaching and non-teaching staff in your school. So ଆମେ ଜାଣନ୍ତି ଯେ ଆମେ ଗୋଟେ ସ୍କୁଲ ହଉ କଲେଜ ହଉ ବା ୟୁନିଭର୍ସିଟି ହଉ କେବଳ ଟିଚିଂ ଷ୍ଟାଫକୁ ନେଇ ଚାଲିବନି. So there are important parts are the students, teaching staffs, as well the non-teaching staffs. Fine. So each of these positions has a very crucial role to play. And you know, the role of teacher is very much vital. Also the role of student, the role of headmaster, and so on. So we can say the structure of a school system, like a school, which helps us to understand the notion of the continuity, isn't it?
Yes,
So
sir.
it's very much important. Yes, the slide visible or not?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Visible.
Okay,
Yes.
fine. So we will see the school system in certain phases, or you may say stages, levels. One thing I want to say to you that the social structure and functioning of the school, that very eminent sociologist named Talcott Parson says the elementary school is the primary social environment in the latency phase of the child development, and the secondary school serves in this capacity during the adolescence phase. As a student of education, we know very well that when the student the child enters to the school at the class at the age of 6, and when she or he is completing the secondary school at the age of 15 or 16, this is the very vital time for the development of intellectual pursuit of that learner, right? So we'll see first the elementary school. You know very well, in the elementary school, students of similar age are brought together under one teacher. Usually we see that female teachers. Usually in elementary school, one teacher works with the same group of children of the entire whole school year. But nowadays you have seen that in elementary schools there are a number of teachers are working. At the elementary grade level, there are several classrooms in most schools at the same grade level with multiple teachers, as you can say, opposed to a single teacher in same class. So we can say generally the elementary school is staffed nowadays by maximum female teachers. But the research says even uh, according to the existence or the survey of Odisha, specifically in Odisha basis, till now, increasing proportion of elementary school principals are or headmasters are still male teachers, right? Okay. And secondly, if we talk about the secondary school system, right? You know that ପିଲା ଟିକେ ବଡ଼ ହେଇଯାଇଛି, hmm, have ideas, certain idea ତା ମାଥାକୁ ଆସୁଛି about the society, the parents, my independence, my role. So secondary schools are structurally very different from elementary schools. Here, each child participate in a number of classes and must attempt to adjust to a number of teachers of both sexes, as well as to a much larger number of students. Primary school at a students are there, but if in secondary schools there are larger number of students are there. The student is given the opportunity to participate in a wider and more complex network of social relationship, isn't it? So we can say that this is the time where the child or the student tries to explore the inherent talent, whatever within the learner. She is or he is supposed to be taught skills and given the knowledge that will allow her to function successfully in the several positions. So she will occupy in an adult as an adult in the society after the schooling system. So you know that if you will be a teacher in secondary school, what should be the primary role of you as a teacher? Because you know the Kothari Commission 1964-66 says the destiny of India are being made in the classroom, are being saved in the classroom, isn't it? So, as you are the teachers or destiny makers of the nation, so it is very much important to nurture the learners in different perspectives, to bring in the all-round development of the learner as well as in societal context also. Fine. So, if we talk about the Indian context, Indian system, you know that from the very beginning, we are following the Gurukul or ashram system. Students are gathered in a near ashram, and the communication between the student teacher is direct mode. Lecture format is or lecture method is followed. In the Indian context, schooling is developed around individuals who had acquired knowledge through personal efforts. by sitting at the feet of the lawn. They were large known as Pandit, বা আমরা তাকে କୁହନ୍ତି କ'ଣ ଗୁରୁ, right? So by day or after the independence, the system formalized, changed, and we talk about the school class. If we talk about the how was the school class as a social system, it is very interesting. Will so school class is a type of learning situation. It is a method by which schools function as organizations by dividing their students in different groups, peoples according to their age level, gender, different discipline, science, or social science, literature, language, Ayurveda, isn't it? According to various pedagogical principles. Again, Talcott person says ପିଲାମାନଙ୍କୁ ସୋସିଆଲାଇଜ୍ କରିବା ପାଇଁ ତାଙ୍କ ଭିତରେ ଗୋଟେ ସୋସାଇଟି ପ୍ରତି ତାଙ୍କୁ ଗୋଟେ ତାଙ୍କର ଯୋଉ ଥିଙ୍କିଂକୁ ବେଟର କରିବା ପାଇଁ so education may be regarded as a social focal socializing agency. School will be play the important role, very much important role. So learning or socialization in a school class involves a clear distinction between two groups. So the student and the teachers, instructor or lecturers who are charged with the responsibility of providing education. That is the, you can say, when we follow a systematic, verified, prescribed curriculum to nurture, to orient, to guide our students, isn't it? Because it is very formal in nature. We have to go through certain systems, rules, regulations, and so on. If we talk about the functions of school, it is also, normative in nature. The school has the function to make a deliberate attempt to maintain the normative and action patterns of society by influencing its new entrants. It thus has to play the role of a referee. What actually the school should do? Maintaining values, inculcating values among the learners, understanding what their duties, responsibility as a teacher, as a student, developing the behavior and developing the qualities among the learner. So, as you know that school is a formal social system which has external relations and internal patterns that condition the educational process. So, which is a very particular part to play in the educational section. And the place of school is somehow important, very, very important to channelize and to moralize the learners and show the right path, right way, and making the learners, making the students a independent one, self-sufficient, self-reliant, isn't it? Fine. If we talk about school child relations, my dear students, you know very well that student and teacher are very much, or you may say, they are the two sides of the coin. Like, so, as far as the role structure of school child is concerned, one significant feature of the relationship the school with the school staff. So both the school as well the child should have a very cordial relation. She will probably have one teacher where school. When the child is an infant in primary school, who will teach? କାରଣ primary stage the mental level of the learners is not equal to the mental level of the students in secondary school. So who will teach them? What should be the curriculum? She has to learn at what age? But she will move from one class to another in a junior school. So she may have one which is her interest. This moving from one class to another means change a subject, change a teacher. For this stage, it is very much important. So the child will select that this school is very good, teachers are very good, the environment is very good, I am feeling safety, my peer friends are also good, the school is supportive, then definitely a positive attitude will develop among the learners towards the school. So it is very much important, isn't it? There are certain formal relationship defined by norms relating to the interaction of students and teachers within the structure of school, class, and school itself. So we can say ଏଇଟା ସେତେବେଳେ ହବ it will happen helpful to study the role of informal relationship of a kind that stem from the personality and the method of the teachers and the social background of the children besides the kind of linguistic expressions they are used. So in the teacher's point of view, when we are delivering lesson, when we are taking classes, we should not see that the child is coming from which background, which socio-economic background, or anything else. But we should focus on the quality or the mentality, the personality, the behavior, the talent she is showing, isn't it? Fine. Now, next we'll talk about structure and organization of the school, isn't it? Is it visible or not?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yes.
fine. So, very well, dear students, that to study of school of as an organization, you can say has in its place in sociology of education mainly as an application of theories, application of sociological theories on educational institutions, organizations. The school, in such theories, is treated as a self-contained system of social relationship, right? Uh, so here I have written here certain steps, or you may say the characteristics. You may say simplicity, dynamism, and flexibility, stability, clarity about powers and duties or responsibility vested upon the officials, coordination between the or among the teaching staffs, non-teaching staffs, student teachers, acceptance of human elements, as well we can say how we are controlling. So defining the characteristics of as a school system, we can say that it is also very much important. You know that when you see the bureaucratization of a school, the thing comes to our mind. There is a division of labor that for a good education system, the work should be divided among the employees. So, to teach particular age levels of students and specific subjects, specialized experts are generally employed. So, instructors are now employed by public schools whose role responsibility is to work with the children who have learning problem, learning disabilities, or any kind of physical impairment, we can say. Right? So it is very much important for the learners to have a look on that. Fine. Am I audible clearly?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So here we'll talk about the principles of school organization. Right? Before going to the principles of school organization, I want to say certain important things that is the bureaucratization of school. Nevertheless, the bureaucratization of school results not only from the growing number of students being served by the individuals, but also from the greater level of specialization required, especially within a technologically complex society. Because you know that nowadays we all are using and taking help of technology for making the class more interesting, more productive, isn't it? So written rules, regulations should be there, impersonality should be there. Written rules, regulations means conformity to numerous rules and regulations by teachers and administrators in the performance. How the role and responsibilities, duties are playing by the members. Further duty is one of the defining characteristic of bureaucratic school, isn't it? And impersonality should be there. As a class sizes increase at school, face-to-face interaction decreases, whereby generally teachers experience difficulties in giving personal attention to each student. It happens generally, right? If you have gone through the uh, RT Act, you can find there, RCFC Act, you can find there, employment based on technical qualifications generally. Nowadays, if you see the how the appointment is going on, so the teachers are hired on basis of the competencies, professional competence and expertise through different teacher training programs, B.Ed, DLED, MEd, and written personnel policies dictate promotions, and people who excel may be granted lifelong job security, isn't it? So far, certain social characteristics of school as an organization have been stressed. However, school systems are viewed as a belonging to a general class of bureaucratic organization. You know, Am I audible now?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir, audible.
Yes.
Yes,
There is
sir.
some internet
Yes,
issue.
sir.
There is some. Okay, okay, okay. Fine. We're talking about okay. So we are talking about the principles of school organization, right? As we are talking about the
Yes, sir.
principles of school
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
organization, the child-centered principle is very much prominent. We can talk about that how child is the center of learning. That you may talk about today's we are living in the modern era and we are giving priority to the learner's interest that the knowledge will be created through learner, by the learner, and for the learner. So we can talk about constructivist learning will be possible, and the school is giving priorities for students' interest. Child-centered learning, student-centered learning is also going on the principles of school organization for proper managing those things. Again, understanding school as a social cultural process is also important. You know that the role of schooling is the subordination of emotions, so-called rationally leading children to adopt a technological rather than affective emotional approach to view the social world, and their consequent dehumanization has been pointed out by the several thinkers. So sometimes ଆମେ ଭୁଲି ଯାଆନ୍ତି ଯେ ଚାଇଲ୍ଡ ଓ ଛୋଟ ପିଲା ବହୁତ ତାର କିଛି ଏତେ ଏକ୍ସପିରିଏନ୍ସ ନାହିଁ ବା ସେ ସୋସାଇଟି ବିଷୟରେ ବହୁତ ବୋର ଜଣା ନାହିଁ ଆମେ ତାର ଆଇଡିଆସକୁ ତାର ଥିଙ୍କିଂକୁ we give less priority, so it should not be, isn't it? So facilities, opportunities, and freedom should be given to the learner to explore the talents, which is definitely exist inherent within the learner, isn't it? Fine. If you also talk about community-centered principles, bureaucratic principles, principles of optimum use of available resources, democratic principles you know very well how that each and every learners have equal opportunity to provide their views, opinions, participate, and the teacher also have to play the equal role, giving the opportunities to the learners for their betterment, for their development. So that the proper management of the school will be possible. And another thing school organization always says that the maximum utilization of available resources. It may be infrastructural resources, it may be your human resources, it may be your teaching learning materials, or any resources, financial resources, isn't it? So, how adequately, as teachers, you are using the available resources for the betterment of the school? ଆମେ ସ୍କୁଲ ଅର୍ଗାନାଇଜେସନ କଥା ଆମେ କହୁଛନ୍ତି ମାନେ ଆମେ ସ୍କୁଲର ଯେତେଟି ରିସୋର୍ସେସ୍ ଅଛି ଯେତେ ଆଭେଲେବୁଲ ଏକ୍ଜିଷ୍ଟିଂ ଅଛି ତାର ବେଷ୍ଟ ୟୁଟିଲାଇଜେସନ ଆମେ କେମିତି କରିପାରୁଛନ୍ତି and also principles of flexibility also there for bringing changes of bringing uh, some new rules for proper functioning of the school for proper management of your school. We can bring certain flexibility in the system. Okay. Next, we talk about just we are saying the bureaucratization of schools, the division of labor. Definitely, we have to focus on the point that if we will not divide the workload, it will be very much difficult for the teachers to work in a very systematic way to each particular stage and to teach particular age level of learners and specific subject हो history हो math हो social science हो ଯୋଉ ସବଜେକ୍ଟରେ ଯେ ଏକ୍ସପର୍ଟାଇଜ ମାନେ ସେମାନେ ଏମ୍ପ୍ଲଏଡ୍ ହେଇଛନ୍ତି those who are given the responsibility sole responsibility to work with the children, isn't it? And also to help the children's those who have certain amount of or certain kind of disabilities, maybe learning disabilities or any kind of physical impairments, you may say. Fine. So the division of labor is a very much important thing for the bureaucratization of school. Once again, I am talking about, and also the hierarchy of authority you have also known. Once again, I'm talking about that. In this case, each employee of school system is responsible to a higher authority. For example, teachers must report to the principals or assistant principals and may sometimes also be supervised by the departmental heads. So principals are accountable to a superintendent of schools and the superintendent positions hence are decisions taken by the board of the education. Even the students are ranked according to their grade and within the organization. And we are also following those things. Written rules and regulations is there. Impersonality, I just talked earlier. Impersonality should be there, isn't it? ଯଦି ଆମେ ପାର୍ସିଆଲିଟି କରିବା ହବ କି ଚଳିବ କି ସିଷ୍ଟମ ଚଳିବନି ଆଣ୍ଡ ଇମ୍ପର୍ସନାଲିଟି ସପୋଜ ଟିକେ ଆଗରୁ କହିଥିଲି କ୍ଲାସ ସାଇଜ ଇନକ୍ରିଜେଡ ସ୍କୁଲ face to face interaction decreases whereby teachers experience difficulties in having personal attention to each other. ଆମେ ଯୋଉ personal attention ପିଲାମାନଙ୍କର କମି ଯାଇପାରେ if the class will be larger. So school management how will be very social organizations how will be more successful. It may be difficult to manage all these things, isn't it? Okay. And you know that employment based on the technical qualifications and the experience, whatever. We can say that teacher is an educational input. Very good. And we also agree with this concept. Uh, you know, are you agree with this or not? Anybody agree or disagree with this concept? Hello.
Sir, question after it, repeat kare question ta.
Question teacher as an educational input. Are you agree with this?
Agree, sir.
Yes, sir,
How?
agree.
How can you tell me? Can you tell me please?
Sir, sir,
Yes.
ଯେକୌଣସି ଟିଚର ହିଁ ଯେତେବେଳେ ପଢିବାକୁ ଯାଇଥାଏ କିଛି କଣ୍ଟେଣ୍ଟ ଡେଲିଭରି କରିଥାଏ ପିଲାଙ୍କ ମନରେ କିଛି ଇନଫର୍ମେସନ କୁ ଇନପୁଟ କରିଥାଏ ନା ସେଥିପାଇଁ ଆମେ ଏଇଟା କହିପାରିବା।
Okay. Very good. Anybody else?
Yes, sir, I'm agree with this process because teacher is the one and only facilitator who impart the knowledge among students, and it can build the future of all students.
Definitely. ଆମେ ଯେତେବେଳେ ଗୋଟେ କ୍ଲାସ କଥା କୁହନ୍ତି ଆମେ ଗୋଟେ ସ୍କୁଲ କଥା ଚିନ୍ତା କରିବା କି କ୍ଲାସ ଚିନ୍ତା କରିବା ସୋ ଫାଷ୍ଟ ଆମ ମଥରେ ଆସେ ସେ ସ୍କୁଲରେ କି ଟିଚର ଅଛନ୍ତି who will take care of my students, who will teach them, isn't it? So it is the first and foremost and important thing we can say, right? So the first image that comes to mind on thinking of teacher is that of classroom teachers. Essentially, teachers is identified with his or her classroom teaching. Knowledge is organized for in imparted to students in schools generally. So here, teachers function as an instructional input. When we consider teacher as an instructional input, there is also a presumption that the teacher is in a position to impart knowledge, So this implies that the teacher has a fund of knowledge and considerable experience at a level different from that of the students. So we can say according to goal, instructional process operate with the assumption that the teacher is ahead somehow of her pupil in the pursuit of knowledge and that she can effectively guide the learners. The teacher and the ଅଧିକା advanced knowledge is no fond of knowledge no curious knowledge no then how she or he will guide the child. Thus, this notion brings in an element of how the relationship between teacher and student. Okay. And we can talk about the teacher organize the learning experiences, keeping in mind the cognitive, affective, and psychomotor development of the pupil. The overall development of the pupil is kept in mind while formulating the instructional objectives as well as when you are evaluating the learning outcomes. Right? And next thing we will try to know that understanding the community participation. Suddenly there is a electric cord. Fine. Okay. So you can say that what is community participation? Before going to community participation, you must have knowledge about the community, isn't it? So, what is community? When individuals live together in a common territory, have the feelings of mutuality developed organized interaction among them. It is called the community spirit. And the community social group characterized by the community spirit, isn't it? Again, we can talk about a community is a group of people who
Sir,
share something.
ସାର୍
Hello?
ପିପିଡିଟା ସାର୍ ଆସିଲାଣି।
PPT ତ ଦେଖା
sir,
ହଉଛି।
ଦେଖାଯାଉଛି sir।
ଦେଖାଯାଉଛି ଦେଖାଯାଉଛି।
ସାର୍ ଆମକୁ ଦେଖାଯାଉନି ସାର୍।
Maybe some network issue you have, right? Okay, but it is visible.
ଓକେ ସାର୍, ଥ୍ୟାଙ୍କ ୟୁ।
Okay, we are talking about a community is a group of people who share something in common. You can define a community by the shared attributes of the people in it or by the strength of connections among them, how they are connected with each other. So you need a bunch of people who are alike in some way, who feel some sense of belonging or interpersonal connection. You can say it's a community. According to the sociologist, whenever the member of any group, small or large, live together in such a way that they share the basic conditions of a common life, we call that group a community. Fine.
ସାର୍ ଦେଖାଯାଉନି।
ଏଇଟା ଦେଖାଯାଉନି sir।
PPT is not showing.
No sir। Yes sir, it is visible, but for some it may not be visible।
ମୋର ସାର୍
Yes,
ନେଟୱାର୍କ
yes, it
ପ୍ରୋବ୍ଲେମ୍
is
ହେଇଥିବାରେ ମେ ବି।
exactly. Because there is some rainy, cloudy the sky. Yes, yes,
Visible,
it is
sir.
visible. I can see that it is clearly visible, but due to someone's network, it may not be visible to you. Okay. Okay, fine. So I'm trying to make it fine. Now I hope it is visible. So according to the sociologist, we got the point what actually the community is. Next, the community participation. The United Nations described community participation as the creation of opportunities to enable members of a community and the larger society to actively contribute to and influence the development process to share equitably in the fruits of development, isn't it? So again, we can say that community participation can be loosely defined as the involvement of people in a community in projects to solve their own problems. You know very well how is the community participation. People cannot be forced to participate in projects which affect their life, but should be given the opportunity where it is possible. So participation can be both passive and active, can be legislated, self-mobilized, can be providing information, or you may say material contribution. And there are certain, we can talk about certain policies, framework for community participation in education. Specifically, we can say, right, which talks about the National Policy on Education NP 1986 and Program of Action 1992 emphasized the importance of decentralizing planning and management of education at all levels and people's participation in education. So we can say that the policy also talking about the how the more participation should be there among the community to enhance the system. In pursuance of the policy and program of action, the state governments have taken steps to set off structure of for decentralizing planning and management. You know that those who are working in school very well, ଆଗରୁ ଆମର SMC, SMDC ନଥିଲା. And now there is school management committee and school management development committees there, elementary level and high school level respectively. And the role of that committee it's very much higher now that checking the status of school progress, the attendance record, and the development of school as well the progress of students' academic result. In pursuance, and it is expected that as a part of decentralization, that means we can say the power is decentralized from the lower level to the higher level, that every teacher's role, responsibility, all the stakeholders, not only the teachers, non-teaching staff, teaching staff, parents, they are also responsible for the development of the school, management of school. So it is expected that as a part of centralized decentralization, local communities through appropriate bodies would get involved in improving the functioning of schools. You know that how they are playing the important role for strengthening the quality of education, right? The formation of VEC, Village Education Committee, and various other participated PTA, Parent Teacher Association also there. And in their involvement in education as a result of the constitutional commitment and policy recommendations. And if you go about the RCFC Act rules 2010 Odisha, you will find also that there is the formation of that committees, how Rashtriya Madhyamika Shiksha Abhijan RMS have vividly talked about for constitution and formation of those guidelines for restructuring the school system and management. A relationship between now talk about the uh, Panchayat Raj institution PRI and community structures. If you see in very short form, the Constitutional Amendment Act 73rd and 74th 1992 has accorded statutory results of local self-government known as Panchayat Raj system and has entrusted it with the task of looking after primary and secondary education. Right? And the Centrally Advisory Board of Education, CABE, Committee on Decentralized Management of Education suggested constitution of VEC, Village Education Committee, at the village level and at the Panchayat Standing Committee on Education Intermediate and District levels for a smooth functioning of school, proper management of school, development of school, planning, budgeting, directing of the school administration and management. Now we'll see very shortly about the Village Education Committee, VEC and PTA, Parent Teacher Association. If you have gone through the, and we'll shortly see Village Education Committee is a village habitation levels body setup through government order entrusted with responsibilities of administering educational programs and looking after schools and other educational institutions at the village level. But actually, the schools is obeying the government policies, rules, regulations, proper implementation is there or not. The committee usually have average 10-15 members with the presentation from the women, SC, ST, disadvantaged section, elected panchayat members, head teacher, senior teacher of the school, and others. Functions कौन ताकर अछि ना generation and sustenance of awareness among the village community, ensuring participation of all segment population. ଆଗରୁ କଣ ହଉଥିଲା ନା ଏସି ଏସଟି ଲୋକମାନେ ତାଙ୍କ ପିଲାମାନଙ୍କୁ ସହଜରେ ବିଦ୍ୟାଳୟକୁ ପଠାଉନଥିଲେ ବା କିଛି ଲୋକ ଯୋଉ ପ୍ୟାରେଣ୍ଟ ମାନେ ସେମାନେ ଆଡିକୁଏଟ ନଲେଜ ତାଙ୍କର ନଥିଲା ଆଉ ସେମାନେ ଏଜୁକେଟେଡ ନୁହଁ ସେମାନେ ଚାହୁଁଥିଲେ ଯେ ମୋ ପିଲା କାହିଁକି ପାଠ ପଢିବାକୁ ଯିବ ସ୍କୁଲ ଗଲେ କଣ କରିବ so through the committee or the effort of the government of India the knowledge is shared among the peoples and they are aware about how education is important for a safe society, safety society, developing teacher instruction and community partnership to oversee and manage the effective and regular function in the school centers, isn't it? It is also teachers community relationship को build करिया पे proper management ही परिबो school teachers are regular in their duties, their responsibilities, all these things, and visiting it with the appropriate statutory and financial authority in which had what amount to be sanctioned, to be invested, and as per the expenditure level. As a teacher's point of view, you can see that in educational sector there are larger problems and issues in education. So community participation. One second. If we talk about the problems and issues of education system, you have seen that if we note down the education system problems, we cannot make it a full stop. Larger number of issues are there from the administration to the evaluation, the teacher community, the student community, the parent community, they are working. After all, there are certain issues in education system as a whole. I have written here some major issues that we can say community mobilization and participation. We are thinking about that really the parents are aware. Do you think that they are really aware? Do you think that the peoples of your village are sending their students to schools? Do you think that the students, the children of your village are getting proper education? Do you think that all the learners are getting equal opportunities? Okay. So there are certain issues we can talk about, and the first is that is the community mobilization and participation. Due to the lack of community mobilization and participation, people's awareness, parents, if the parents will not be aware, if the community members will not be aware, so who will take care of the society? Who will be responsible for the community? Isn't it? As you know that education is a social process. The participation of a community or social group in the education is a precondition. The idea of a community participation in education is not a new thing. Since very older days, school forms of certain systems, and if the peoples of that era, of that periphery, that area, they will not be aware about how education is important for my child, how education is helpful for understanding the world, for understanding self. So how she will or he will send her child to school. So it is the primary duty of the parents, community members as well to have a greater extent about the education system. The communities in India are at different levels, different stages. Economic, socio-economic development is not maybe there, and educational attainment is not there. So we can say, despite over 5 decades of planned development, so far only 65.38% population in India were literate. Around half of the female population remain illiterate. Just imagine. Though elementary education in India is characterized by incidence of low enrollment and high product rate, the government is taking so much initiatives. Well, why government is failing? Because the lack of the participation of the community, lack of mobilization of the community, and lack of community empowerment. If the community will be aware, ଆମ ଘର ପାଖରେ ଗୋଟେ ପିଲାଟେ ଯଦି ସ୍କୁଲ ନ ଯାଉଛି, ଏ ଯେ ମୋ ସ୍କୁଲ ମୋ ଛୁଆ ସ୍କୁଲକୁ ଯାଉଛି, କିନ୍ତୁ ଘର ପାଖରେ ଆଉ ଗୋଟେ ପିଲାଟେ ସ୍କୁଲ ଯାଉନି, ତା ବାପା ମା ଏଜୁକେଟେଡ ନୁହନ୍ତି. So we may assist them, we may guide them. So you should admit your child in a school that she or he will benefited, he will see the world in different way, different direction. ତା ଭବିଷ୍ୟତ ଅନ୍ଧଭା କାହିଁ କରୁଛ? So the nature of extent of community participation depends upon the level of awareness among the communities. A large number of communities which are socially disadvantaged and socially or economically backward have indifferent and apathetic attitude towards modern formal education. They suffer. So these groups need to be awakened and motivated for education. So for mobilizing these communities, several strategies have been formulated by whom? By the government of Odisha or India. Formulated, implemented, and some programs are also under different programs under implementation. Some are also planning, formulated and implemented under different programs. तुम को डिटेड प्राइमरी एजुकेशन डीपीपी को बा सर्व शिक्षा अभियान को ऑपरेशनल ब्लैकबोर्ड स्कीम को. So however the implementation of mobilization activities does not actually or not automatically lead to community participation. So how it possible? So for community participation, it is necessary that participatory structure should be created. As it has been done through कौन है ना जेहेतु पार्टिसिपेशन कमिगला कम्युनिटी मानकर गवर्नमेंट चिंता कला ना केमिति पार्टिसिपेशन बढ़ाव लोक मानकर कम्युनिटी केमिति आवार हेबे तति से कौन कला ना थ्रू विलेज एजुकेशन कमिटी हिच VEC PTA हैला SMC हैला SMC SMDC मैनेजमेंट एथिरे कम्युनिटी मेंबर रहिले पेरेंट्स माने रहिले से माने रियलाइज कले टीचर तक अवेयर करागला एंड BO DO ADO they are also preside the meeting and orient them about the importance of education. And it is noted that again that mere formation and functioning of these local level bodies does not ensure community participation till now, because when you know that they are not interested. It is the community ownership in which decision making is entrusted to the community members. One may visualize proper community participation, how important for channelizing the education system and a safe society, isn't it? So community mobilization and participation is too much necessary. So we can say that community mobilization and participation in order to promote the environmental building activities initiatives such as କଳ କଳା ଯାତ୍ରା, ନୁକଡ଼ ନାଟକ ଏବେ ହଉନି ଗାଁ ଗାଁରେ ସବୁ କିଛି ବହୁତ ହୁଏ ଭିଲେଜ ଏରିଆଜ ନୁକଡ଼ ନାଟକ ହୁଏ ଛୋଟ ଛୋଟ ନାଟକ ପ୍ରଦର୍ଶନ କରନ୍ତି ପିଲାମାନେ ଯାଇକି ବା ଲୋକମାନେ ବାଲ ମେଳା etc. have been met. Besides, for India campaigns to enhance community participation, the states has followed various mobilizing activities. रेडियो चैनल रे विभिन्न कथा दिया हुए, टीवी प्रोग्राम्स रे दिया हुए, वीडियो भी दिया हुए, ऑडियो कैसेट होची, न्यूज पेपर बाहरची, खबर कागज रे होची, पैम्पलेट्स बना होची. So for disseminating the information about the benefits of education. Besides, micro planning also undertaken for mobilization as well as promoting intensive interaction and participation among the community members. ଲୋକଟେ ପ୍ରକୃତ ଶିକ୍ଷା କେମିତି ପାଇବ ରେଡିଓକୁ ଟିଭିରେ ସେ କହିପାରୁନି ନ୍ୟୁଜ ପେପରରେ ସେ ଜାଣିନି କଥା ତ କହିପାରୁଛି ମୁଁ ନ୍ୟୁଜ ପଢିପାରୁନି ବଟ୍ ହି କ୍ୟାନ୍ ଟକ୍ ସେ ଫୋନ କରିକି ପଚାରୁଛି ରେଡିଓରେ ଯେ ଏମିତି ଅସୁବିଧା ଅଛି ମୋର ପ୍ରୋବ୍ଲେମ ଅଛି କଣ ସମାଧାନ କରିପାରିବି and the experts are guiding them. So we can say that teachers and community members trained for this purpose took of micro planning in the form of activities such as social and resource mapping, identification of out of school children को पिला माने स्कूल को आसु नाहंती तांकर भी गोटे लिस्ट आउट करा होची टीचर मानक रेस्पोंसिबिलिटी दिया होची डेवलपमेंट ऑफ विलेज एजुकेशन रजिस्टर तैयारी करिया पे village education plan etc. in different states under DPEP. Government of Uttar Pradesh is also doing well. Government of West Bengal also doing well. Government of Odisha also doing well. So besides local culture and tradition along with the institutional structure have been used in various forms of hiding the impact of mobilizing the strategies. So we can say that how the community mobilization and participation is important and is a problem here in the bringing the standard of education. The mobilization strategies that follow the functionalist perspective do not the radical posture with regard to injustice related to existing social order. Or one may notice such cases if we examine the nature and extent of state sponsored advocacy. तमे सुनिथिबो दैट जे किछि राज्य अछि some states such as Kerala, West Bengal did choose radical forum advocacy campaigns and they achieved success in eliciting active participation in initial years. You have seen, you can ask the parents of West Bengal, of the parents of the students of West Bengal, how they are aware about that. And also Kerala. The current trend is not very encouraging, isn't it? The next is community participation and empowerment. We can also talk about community participation and empowerment. Community mobilization तो हो गया, participation. You know, so empowerment is essential If we analyze the community participation in education, it will remain incomplete if we do not relate it to the question of community empowerment. Does community participation ensure community empowerment? Will the empowerment of okay, will the what are we talking about? Does the community participation ensure community empowerment? Will the empowerment of local political bodies ensure community empowerment? So who will responsible for this? As the research says, as we have seen in the recent years, there has been a shift in the debate of community involvement in the education from participation to empowerment. Participation is okay, but empowerment is important. So, mere participation does not necessarily lead to community empowerment. ମୁଁ ଖାଲି ଅଂଶଗ୍ରହଣ କଲି ମୋ ଛୁଆ ପାଠ ପଢୁଛି ସ୍କୁଲ ଯାଉଛି ଠିକ ଅଛି ନାଁ ଲେଖା ହେଲା but how much you are aware knowledge about the school system. It is also argued that community participation is a means of community empowerment. That is when people are entrusted with roles and responsibilities with community participation structure, it is assumed that such participation would become the means of empowerment. That means the community member will be aware about the panchayat raj system, the school structure, the management, and the notion of empowerment is integral to the concept of participatory development. Right? So the participation provides opportunities for power sharing, distribution of resources, and if you talk about the government of India and government of Odisha, in this case, the state has an important role to play protection of interest of the people, those who are poor, those who are disadvantages. And you know that VEC, Village Education Committee, and PTA does not address the issue of empowerment adequately. It's not my view. Whatever we have seen, whatever we have uh, studied, and the research says till now they are not adequately fulfilling the needs. PTA and VEC does not address the issue of empowerment adequately, as the local bodies reflect the local power structure. The panchayats are no longer community institutions, they are political bodies dominated by party interest. So the electoral process has brought forth the political interest to the force. And the analysis of process of decision making with regard to developing money and power in the in this participatory structure explains in this case who will be responsible for this. So participation must begin at the local level with communities, as a project cannot be end there. Whether we would like it or not. Definitely, the state continues to be a major player, and we want it to be a major player in if education is not to be universalized or sustained livelihood for the poor peoples, those who are very poor, those who are migrated laborers, those who have not they are not getting a three times meal in a day, right? So it is very much important. The community empowerment is lacking. If the community participation is to advance, to advocate the social empowerment of the poor, it must also therefore advocate the political empowerment also. It's a very important thing. And we also should noted that the decentralization and community participation. We are making the education system decentralized for maximum community participation. Decentralization of educational governance is one of the major strategy for what? For bringing scope, opportunities, facilities for smooth conduction of educational system management administration. So is the one of the major strategy for inducing greater community involvement in education. ଆମେ ଯଦି କହିବା 73rd Amendment Act हो कि 74th Amendment Act of Indian Constitution, the panchayat have been entrusted with the responsibility of implementing compulsory and free education. Right to Free Education Act, we have studied that, RT Act. So implementing free and compulsory education. Panchayat system, therefore, is the main framework through which decentralization of educational governance is to be pursued. Is currently also being pursued. So the basic question arises whether comply handing over basic education to panchayat bodies or not, or it will ensure popular participation. If we see different states, for example, the Kerala experience, which involved integrated efforts of the panchayat system and non-organization bodies. In achieving universal literacy in elementary education, in an encouraging example of decentralizing initiative. That's why the literacy rate of Kerala is higher. However, at other places, specifically we talk about Odisha, the strategy has been partially effective or not effective somehow. One of the main reasons is that it has been its heartfelt lack of implementation. It is often argued that panchayat system does not alter the power base at local level. In fact, it becomes part of existing power structure. And we have seen that in many states, panchayats have become party panchayats, even through formally elected by the people. So, the political interference of the parties has destroyed the village solidarity, and the spirit of spontaneity has given away to structured and predetermined participation of the community members. They are afraid to participate, to open their mouth. So the community participation in education has a close linkage with decentralization. Decentralization means government saying that participation from the very grassroots level. All the stakeholders are the important parts of the system. So for the most of participation, disclosure currently center around it, and it is often connected, or you may say that contended that community participation and empowerment will emerge from decentralization of educational governance. ତାପରେ ବି କ'ଣ ହଉଛି, although panchayat system has not been able to play effective role, ଆମେ ଦେଖୁଛନ୍ତି, this does not mean the decentralized education has failed. ଏହା ନୁହଁ କି, definitely it hasn't failed. Decentralization can be different types: deconcentration, devolution, delegation. Decentralization can be different types. You can say deconcentration, devolution, and delegation. How you are giving the power to the members of your community, or the those who are working, or the stakeholders of the institution. As you know, the school is a social institution. So most of decentralization measures which have been implemented are either in the category of decentralization or delegation of roles and responsibilities. There are rare cases where devolution of money and power has been taken place. So, the careful examination of decentralization through panchayat system would explain the case, isn't it? Am I wrong? So, not much financial, but also administrative powers have been given to the panchayat bodies. You can say furthermore, village education committees, panchayat Raj institutions interface, which is recommended by the new education policy and constitutional amendments, has yet to take definite shape and perform the effective role for bringing quality education, productive education, universalizing and improving the quality of elementary education, and all-round development of the learner. Education being classified under the concurrent list, you know very well, isn't it? It is left to state in formulating policy and programs. We have right to formulate new policies, new guidelines, how each school are doing so well. So, as a teacher's point of view, when we will a teacher in future days or you are existing, you are working in the institution, it is a duty and responsibility to orient them. So it is a very much important factor, you know, that the current practice of community participation is limited in comparison to community development programs. ଆମର ବହୁତ ପ୍ରୋଗ୍ରାମ ହଉଛି ଗଭର୍ଣ୍ଣମେଣ୍ଟ ବହୁତ ପଲିସି ତିଆରି କରୁଛି but why it is being failed? The community participation in education in India can be termed mostly as legislated participation. As the people's participation are being promoted through constitutional provisions and program guidelines. Government policies, ସବୁ ଦେଖିବାକୁ ପଡିବ. Following constitutional amendments, there have been concerned effort of part of central and state government as education is under concurrent list. So the village education committees with the representation from both the school and community have been formed, you know, and the bodies are getting strengthened under educational programs such as district primary educational program, Sarva Shiksha Abhijan, isn't it? However, we can say the community participation process in education is at nascent stage and has a long way to go. And we can say that the current practice of community participation is too limited in comparison to community development programs, policies implemented during the initial phase of post-independence period. ଆଗରୁ ଯାହା ହଉଥିଲା ଏବେ କମି ଯାଇଛି. So the main objective of participatory involvement is to increase the involvement socially, economically marginalized people in making decisions regarding their own lives. The assumption is that participatory approach, I am a part of that institution, I am part of the society, empowers people with the skills and confidence to analyze their situation, reach consensus, make decisions, and take actions so to improve their circumstances. Because you know that the community participation in education is also intended to focus upon the disadvantaged and needy people. We cannot forward, we cannot go ahead if we neglect those, right? So this is very much important for all the stakeholders, teacher's point of view, as a student's point of view, as a stakeholder, we can say it is important to have a idea about the standard of education, system of education, and the uh, level of participation of members, community members, those who are involved in the process. Right? Okay. Thank you.
Thank you,
Do you
sir.
have any question?
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Sir, block
Thank
3 ର
you, sir.
unit ସରିଗଲା?
Well, thank you.
Sir,
What?
block 3 ର 1 2 3 4 5ଟା ୟୁନିଟ୍ ଥିଲା ସବୁ ଯାକ ସରିଗଲା ଆଜି?
We have tried to communicate it. Anything else? Any more question? Tapan Kumar, are you getting me?
Again, sir.
So, for further advanced knowledge, you may go through different books on
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
okay, and also you can follow the IGNOU study materials which is given immensely very good way. They explain very vividly and systematically. If you follow, you get a comprehensive idea about that, right? Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you,
sir.
sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you,
Thank
thank you, sir.
thank you,
Thank you,
sir.
sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Sir, block 3 ର ଟିଚିଂ ପ୍ରଫେସନ ଯୋଉ ୟୁନିଟ୍ ଟା ସେଇଟା ଟିକେ କହିଦେଇଥିଲେ ଭଲ ଲାଗିଥାନ୍ତା। ସେଇ ଗୋଟେ ୟୁନିଟ୍ ଟା ଟିକେ ରହିଗଲା ସାର୍।
Block 3 no?
ୟୁନିଟ୍ 10 ଟିଚିଂ ପ୍ରଫେସନ।
It is very easy for you, right?
Yes, sir,
I
ମୁଁ
can
ଜାଣିଛି ଯେ
then say very simply I can say that people belonging to various areas, right, where specialized knowledge and skills are required as a profession, right, as a knowledge professionals. So these professionals in turn through personal interaction and demonstration they develop in a new entrance to the profession similar skills. So we can say in the teaching profession, major expectations are understanding of the learning capacities of the learner, the different backgrounds which affect their abilities and also behavior. ତୁମେ କୋଉ ମେଥଡ଼ରେ ପଢ଼େଇବ, ପିଲାମାନଙ୍କର ନିଡ୍ କ'ଣ ଅଛି, ସେମାନେ ଠିକ୍ ସେ ତୁମକୁ ବୁଝିପାରୁଛନ୍ତି କି ନାହିଁ, understanding the learner intelligence, their capacities, their levels. So according to that level, you will provide examples, your experience we can share, so they can connect to their previous knowledge and the learning will be meaningful. And the teacher has also has the added responsibility of changing the society with the future in mind, right? So ଆମେ ଖାଲି ପ୍ରେଜେଣ୍ଟ କଣ୍ଟେକ୍ସଟକୁ ଦେଖିକି ବା ସିଲାବସରେ ଯାହା ସେତିକି ପଢ଼ିଲେ ବୋଲି we have to also make the learner more future oriented. Most of an individuals as well as society like to maintain status quo, but it is the job of teaching profession to keep striving the change. We have to accept the change rather change for the better development, isn't it? In the process of change, teaching professionals have to face certain challenges, academic challenges, or organizational challenges. So there are so many challenges we generally feel. So at times the personal understanding of teachers may not be matched with the law of the land. So the teachers have to strike a balance between personal understanding and national agenda. However, teaching profession is full of challenges, responsibilities, isn't it? So it is important thing as a teacher's point of view. We should notice it. Okay. Anything else?
Hello.
Yes.
Sir, the understanding community participant विषय रात रे बोंदो.
Good.
Sir, understanding community participation.
Understanding community participation.
Yes, sir.
You know that the role of a community for strengthening the system of education is very much important, right? How? As you know that those who are living in a area, or you may say a common geographical area, a large member of group or a small member of group living together with certain goals, objectives, roles, conditions, customs, traditions. So, as a teacher's point of view, we should have a knowledge about that the involvement of community members is a very much important for understanding the education system. Yes, sir, coming soon. So, whenever the member of any group, small or large, live together such a way that they share the basic conditions of a common life, we call that group a community. And thus, a community refers to a group of individuals, maybe a geographical area. So, ସେମାନଙ୍କର ଇନଭଲଭମେଣ୍ଟ ନ ରହିଲେ, କମ୍ୟୁନିଟି ମେମ୍ବର ମାନଙ୍କର ଇନଭଲଭମେଣ୍ଟ ନ ରହିଲେ ସିଷ୍ଟମର ଡେଭଲପମେଣ୍ଟ ପ୍ରୋଗ୍ରେସ ଆସିପାରିବ ନାହିଁ। ବୁଝିହେଉଛି କି ନାହିଁ? ସେଇଥିପାଇଁ ଗଭର୍ଣ୍ଣମେଣ୍ଟ ଖାସ କରି ବିଭିନ୍ନ ପଲିସିଜ ଇମ୍ପ୍ଲିମେଣ୍ଟ କରିଛି ଯେ କମ୍ୟୁନିଟି ମେମ୍ବର ମାନଙ୍କର ପାର୍ଟିସିପେସନ କେମିତି ବଢିବ। କମ୍ୟୁନିଟି ପାର୍ଟିସିପେସନ ଅର୍ଥ ହେଉଛି how, or you may say, the participation or involvement of community members. Participation can be passive mode ହେଇପାରେ, active mode ହେଇପାରେ, self motivated ହେଇମାନେ ହେଇପାରନ୍ତି, ବା ସେମାନଙ୍କୁ କୌଣସି ଇନଫର୍ମେସନ ବା any kind of contribution ମାଧ୍ୟମରେ, right? They are
Yes, sir.
involvement of people in a community for development and betterment of a system. ଯେତେବେଳେ ତମ ଗାଁର ଲୋକମାନେ ଆୱାର ହେଇଯିବେ, କମ୍ୟୁନିଟି ମେମ୍ବର୍ସ, ସେମାନେ ଭାବିବେ ଯେତେବେଳେ ଯେ ମୋ ଛୁଆଟି ସ୍କୁଲକୁ ଗଲେ କିଛି ଦେଶର ବା ଘରର ଉନ୍ନତି ହେବ, ବା ସାହିର ଉନ୍ନତି ହେବ, କି ଗାଁର ଉନ୍ନତି ହେବ, କି ଜିଲ୍ଲାର ଉନ୍ନତି ହେବ। ବୁଝିହେଉଛି? ତେଣୁ ସେମାନଙ୍କର ଯଦି ପାର୍ଟିସିପେସନ ନ ରୁହେ, ସେମାନଙ୍କର ଉଦ୍ୟୋଗ ନ ରୁହେ, ତାହେଲେ କ'ଣ ଗାଁର ଉନ୍ନତି ହେବ, ନା ରାଜ୍ୟର ଜିଲ୍ଲାର ହେବ, ନା ରାଜ୍ୟର ହେବ, ନା ଦେଶର ହେବ? ହେଇପାରିବ କି?
No, sir.
ତେଣୁ ଦେଶର ଉନ୍ନତି ପାଇଁ ହଉ, ଏଜୁକେସନ ଡେଭଲପମେଣ୍ଟ ପାଇଁ ହଉ, ଭଲ ଶିକ୍ଷା ପାଇଁ ହଉ, କମ୍ୟୁନିଟିର ପାର୍ଟିସିପେସନ ଇନଭଲଭମେଣ୍ଟ ବହୁତ ଜରୁରୀ ଅଛି। ଠିକ ଅଛି?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
बुझिगला
Yes,
वेलकम
sir.
थैंक यू वेरी मच डियर स्टूडेंट्स
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Sir.
थैंक यू
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Sir, good doubt thila.
ओके
Sir, what is the difference between educational psychology and educational sociology and sociology of education?
educational psychology I'm talking about
Sorry, educational
when
sociology and sociology of education.
okay when we talk about when we use the principles and theories of sociology principles and theories of sociology in the field of education by to understand the education system it is known as educational sociology. Are you getting me?
Sir.
When we use theories, principles, laws, or the rules, regulations we use in the field of education, that is educational sociology. And now you can identify what is sociology of education. Can you tell me?
Yes.
When we implement sociology ର theory rules regulation को ଯେତେବେଳେ ଆମେ education ରେ apply କରିବା ୟୁଜ୍ କରୁଛନ୍ତି education କୁ ବୁଝିବା ପାଇଁ ଜାଣିବା ପାଇଁ ସେତେବେଳେ ହେଲା educational sociology and sociology of education କଣ ହେଇପାରେ
सोसाइटीର ଇକୁ ଏଜୁକେସନରେ ଇନକ୍ଲୁଡ କରିବାଟା
anybody else anybody else କୁହ ସର୍ଟରେ କହିବି ତୁମକୁ ଯେ the sociology of education is the study of how school, college, institutions and individuals বা ଆମର experience affect the education and its outcome. Right? It's mostly concerned with the public schooling system, modern industries, societies. Anything, any more question?
sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Okay, thank you very much, dear students, for the virtual class. I hope we will see you next class. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you,
Thank you,
sir.
sir.